Hello and welcome. If you are new here, my name is Erica and this is my weekly transit video. This is a general reading where I blend astrology, human design, gene keys, and tarot to navigate the current energy. This is also a general collective reading, right? So please take what resonates and leave the rest. If you would like a personal reading, you can click on the links down in the description box. I help to guide my clients towards self-discovery and empowerment by helping them embody their highest selves, overcome obstacles, and show up authentically in life. So, as I said, if you would like a personalized reading and all of that sounds like it's something you might need, please click on the link in the description box below. Thank you. So, today is Monday, and the moon has conjunct the south node this morning and is now moved further into Libra. We're sitting at about 20 degrees Libra at this point. So, with that being said, we might have like this morning or throughout the day been processing maybe some like cycles that are keeping us trapped or indecision that's keeping us frozen. We might have been kind of like aware of the fact that we are once again being called to listen to our own intuition and search for the answers to things within instead of externally. So, also today, we have the sun square Pluto, and the sun is now in Taurus, and Pluto is in Aquarius. The sun is moved into gate 27, and Pluto has moved into gate 41. And so with that square happening, a thick square, it's like a stubborn energy tug of war that goes on between these two planets. The sun is like this expression of what how can I be a good person? How can I help others? How can I fulfill my purpose, right? Meanwhile, Pluto's in the gate of like where the shadow keeps you in fantasizing. And the whole thing with gate 41 is to realize where you're maybe dreaming about your life instead of actually taking action in the present moment in your life. As to where 27 is like where you're being selfish because your real purpose in life it's only fulfilling if it has more of an altruistic energy to it. Like following your own desires and passions isn't selfish. Feeding yourself like gluttony while letting other people starve is selfishness. And there's a big difference with that. That I think a lot of people are maybe coming to terms with this week. Okay, so I feel like there's more that I want to say about that, but I'm going to circle back because we are going to get into 27 a bit more with this full moon. So, also the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction, that hit exact last Saturday. But we are still feeling it and we will throughout this week. They're still treading fairly close together and they will continue to kind of catch up to the same degree throughout the week. So just keep that in mind. And 23, is that gate of complexity. Also just Jupiter and Uranus conjuncting anyway is like bringing together this like expansion and abundance when it comes to like your ability to change and progress and evolve and get innovative and think outside of the box. And then we add in this gate 23 energy to it all and it's like maybe the most innovative thing that you can do is get down to the basics to simplify. And I know that comes up for me a lot, kind of like looking at all of, well, first of all, I have gate 41, and so I have that in my Mercury and my moon. So I definitely am capable of escaping into like fantasy, right? And um having to ground myself essentially back to like, what am I here to do with this, right? And so sometimes I will, think like, okay, so I have to actually be putting in the work and doing the material grounded daily, more structured, more routinely things. And that can end up feeling overwhelming as well, right? Because I can get in my head and like overthink it and be like, okay, I have to make all of these plans and schedules and routines and strategize like in order to not fuck up this time, and like you can kind of just go down this whole rabbit hole with that. And I feel like we have a lot of like abundant expansive energy around like cutting through all the bullshit and getting down to like the bones of what you need to follow your own desires and materialize these desires. It can also make you very aware of where you're kind of like escaping escaping like what you need to do for yourself and for others. Also, another thing to talk about is that Mercury, still in retrograde, is nearing the North Node, where it will station direct. And that's back to that gate 51 that we've talked about the last couple of weeks, the gate of shock, the ability to kind of like use shock and agitation to initiate you rather than again detach or escape. I don't know why, but I'm kind of like seeing this whole mental image of like it's showing you kind of like where the cracks are in the foundation. And to some of us, that might be shocking, and that sucks. But in the same sense, it's like you should be grateful for seeing that now instead of, building even more on top of a foundation that's not secure. Like we want, I guess what I'm trying to say is like we want that ball rolling and gaining momentum in the right direction. We want that tower built on the right foundation, you know? If we get so far, it's so much harder to kind of like it's so much harder for a tower that you've spent years building to crumble than it is to realize like, this foundation's a little shaky, let's go build our tower somewhere else. And I don't know why, but that feels like the overall energy for a while now. Is it's like kind of like we started this fresh new chapter, and it's like we really have to kind of get the bones down right, because this new chapter is going to be like it's like a fresh, it's like a clean slate, and we're making sure that this is the right slate. you know I don't know how else to put that. Okay, so let's talk about the full moon. So the full moon is occurring Tuesday at 6:48 p.m. Central Time. And we will have the moon in Scorpio, gate 28.3. Meanwhile, the sun in the opposite sign of Taurus in gate 27.3. And this is because whenever there is a full moon, that is always when the moon is opposite the sun. And so, because of that, we are faced with the reflection, we are faced with the like enlightenment or coming to awareness of our emotions and what is getting in the way of fulfilling the purpose of the sun, right? The light purpose, the light's purpose, the spirit's purpose. This is also the same axis that we experienced October 28th of last year with that full moon in Taurus. And this is also the same axis where we just experienced a whole year and a half of nodal placements and eclipses. Because you know the nodes just shifted into the Libra Aries axis also last fall. So this could be bringing you back to a lot of old lessons and old stories and things that you have to kind of go back over again, look at from a different perspective, see it differently. And this the gate that like the 28th gate, you know, is the gift of altruism and the shadow of selfishness. So we were kind of working on ridding our lives of or shedding the shadow of selfishness last year on October 28th, right? And I remember for myself personally, that was kind of a beautiful moment because that was the day that we had the Awaken the Witch festival. And how looking back on it now and like the chaos that was that time in my life and how much has changed since then, one thing that was really really fucking beautiful about that entire event was seeing the collaboration that I had always like dreamed of being possible actually materializing and happening in front of my eyes, you know, seeing how unselfish the energy was there and how much everybody was like supporting each other and like the connections that have lasted from that day as well, and like hearing about just like how nourished, right, people felt in that environment. And it really like it warms my heart to think about. And so now coming to the other side of this, and also, you know, at the last full moon in this axis, it was in the fourth line, which was about community and networking and bringing people together, you know, for like a common voice or a common cause. And I love that. This particular one is happening in the third line, where it's a little bit more about this trial and error and like testing the waters and experimenting and getting our hands dirty. But this time, we're experiencing the full moon in the 28th gate. So while we're trying to continue on this like altruistic journey, we have to kind of rid or shed ourselves of the shadow of purposelessness. And purposelessness, you know, at its like deepest core is our fear of death. Our fear that all of this was for nothing and that we will just, you know, enter into a black void of nothingness. This is where all of the mythology that is scary like kind of comes out of. Like I remember in this Gene Keys chapter, it talks a lot about like demons and like all the spookiness of it, right? Because it's all of that like it's all of that uncomfortable truth that we try to avoid. And that's what we deem to be bad, which you could see how sneaky that could get if your brain avoids things that you judge as bad that are actually just the things you need to get to the next step in your journey. So honestly, a lot of what propels our evolution is constantly facing our fears. And I like that it leads to this altruism because I guess truthfully, that's what it's all about, you know? Like even when we say things like, oh, self-care and you've got to take care of yourself first, all of that is because you need to fill your own cup so that way you're a better caretaker for others. When they say get out of your thoughts and into your body, really that's because your thoughts are here for other people, but you're not going to know that unless your body can tell you the difference. Everything still, I guess what I'm trying to say is like everything still always comes back to like what we do for others. And it's so desperately needed in the world right now when you think about how isolated everyone has been and is becoming, and the sickness that has led to in our world. How the lack of community is so detrimental to our species and to the planet overall. Because ultimately our altruism leads us to a place of also having compassion for mother nature and for animals and our connectedness to everything. And our connectedness to everything is also what makes us put ourselves first, because we realize how important it is for us to be individuated, to have really good boundaries, to have really good self-care practices. Self-care practices is also about putting yourself first, even if it's not the fun thing to do, but it's also about learning how to play if you're someone who takes everything too seriously and you're constantly like escaping your inner child, or you're detached from your inner child, or you're detached from the moment because you're always thinking about the future or the past. And the key to all of this is to come back to the present moment and into our bodies. Because when we're there, we are connected. The more we're connected with ourselves, the more we can connect with other people. And that's our purpose. The more that we can connect with other people from a very altruistic place, the more we are fulfilling our purpose, no matter where that leads us. Like we don't even have to worry about the logistics of that or strategizing what that looks like, because as long as we're following that, we know we're always in the right place at the right time with the right person. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about the full moon for now. You guys know I always end up also posting a post about it, as well as like journaling prompts or a spread, however you want to use them. So be on the lookout for that. I always post that on Facebook and Instagram. So after this full moon on Thursday, the moon in Scorpio is also going to oppose this Jupiter Uranus conjunction. And around that same time on Thursday is when Mercury is also going to station direct on top of the North Node in gate 51. I want to look at what the opposite of 23 is. Oh yeah, 43. I find that really interesting because, the channel 4323, which is what happens when the moon opposes the Jupiter Uranus conjunction. We will have that gate again. Also, for my other peeps that were born with Pluto and Scorpio, you might have Scorpio in gate 43 as well with this channel, right? So it's kind of like, it's like all about kind of like this inner listening, like listening inside so you can like hear these insights and these like downloads that are coming to you, so you're not ignoring like your own inner voice basically, or your own higher self and the way that your higher self communicates with you. And then figuring out, like 23, figuring out how to communicate that. And that's why it's about like simplifying, right? Because it's like whenever we are unsure of our own insight, or we weren't asked for our own insight, or we are scared to share our own insight, et cetera, it comes out all fucked up. And then like that energy kind of communicates to others, and that like instead of other people actually hearing the insight the way that we heard the insight, they can't, because it is encapsulated in your own fear and anxiety and you know, judgments and criticisms, and not trying to kind of like also like throw that on people that don't want it or didn't ask for it or aren't listening because of your because you're scared or because of that fear. So I guess what I'm saying is that the moon is having us, you know, look at those, that inner voice and those insights. And then this Jupiter Uranus conjunction is helping us to like figure out how to communicate these insights. Mercury stationing direct on top of 51, which you know is that initiation again. Also going towards the self, this understanding of the self. That's kind of the awakening. It's like awakening to more of self, of authenticity. Through building confidence in your own inner voice and cultivating patience and trust to communicate those things when the time is right, and to work on overcoming the fear to share when the time is right, which could be something you have been working on, and now it'll be the time for you to share this week. And that could shock others. But you know what? When it's coming from that right energy, and it's coming out with confidence and precision and accuracy, and it's being asked for, like it's the advice that the people are asking for, that they need, that they want, and you're going to be able to communicate that so smoothly and effectively that it awakens other people. That's like chef's kiss of this energy playing out. That's all I'm saying. That's like perfection. You don't have to strive for that. We're all human, you know, we're gonna fuck up and we're gonna say things out of time, and like we're gonna try to sometimes push our opinions onto others. Like we're gonna fuck up. And like I think that that's the thing, is that none of this is about shaming ourselves from that, you know, because we never change out of a place of shame. We only change out of a place of more building more awareness with like love and compassion. So that's why I'm bringing all of this up. Like I want to make that clear every time I do one of these readings. Like I never want it to be like you should do this, because like that's something I myself personally have struggled with so much in life. I want it to be more like, like how can I kind of just like be awakened to the fact that this is happening, that this is like I'm aware that this is happening around me now, and or that I'm doing this. Like I was once unconscious that I was doing this, and now I'm aware that I'm doing it. And like how can we like compassionately love ourselves and understand ourselves as just like, you know, fallible humans, and kind of like laugh it off and move on with our life in a way that we know that if we build awareness, we're going to eventually stop doing that thing. That's what, like that's the whole like archetypal story too of Scorpio and giving the shadows to the light. It's like you don't fight the shadows, you allow the shadows to come to the light. Because the more you fight your shadows, the more they fight back harder, the more you end up in a repressed state. And then also on Sunday, we have Mars conjunct Neptune in gate 25, line 1. Neptune freshly moved into gate 25 as well, you know, and this is the gate in the identity center that's all about like self-love and innocence and the abundance of self and giving without accepting. It's like that is kind of like the vibe of having the overflowing cup, you know, and I love that Mars conjunct Neptune when you think about how Mars also plays into the north node, right, of this initiation, this moving through the threshold. And then we also take into account that it's coming from a place like it's like all the other times in our life we might have chased things for all the wrong reasons. And like I said at the beginning of this about building the foundation, now we might finally be starting to chase something new for all the right fucking reasons. And maybe it's the first time in our lives that we felt that way. Not only for the right reasons, but also in the right way. Like we're chasing the right thing in the right way for the right reasons. And I really think that what I just said actually kind of plays into the whole global collective awakening at large. Because collectively we have been chasing a lot of the wrong things for the wrong reasons in the wrong way. But like ironically, all of that led us to where we are right now. I remember too in reading one of these Gene Keys chapters, he talks about how I think it's this 27, this gate of nourishment, right? And like how our new form is nourished by our old form, right? Until kind of like this metamorphosis process of like turning into a new collective but still being fed by some of the things of the old collective, and like how we're in that weird kind of just like morphing place. And the problem is that we're still feeding this new body off of a lot of old ways that haven't worked, and I think that that's what we're working on dissolving now currently. But we're doing that in the right way, right? Because we're bringing these things that we're becoming aware of into the light, instead of just trying to fight them and push them and resist them and hate them and spend all of this energy just butting our fucking heads against things that are just not working. Like the only way to truly change these things and truly dissolve these things once and for all is to bring them into more awareness, more light, more love. Because ultimately, anything that we do is to help the collective at large. The more that we become self aware, the more that we collectively become aware. Okay, let's get into the card portion. So first of all, I also kind of wanted to talk about okay, so normally whenever we have a new astrological season, I will pull the tarot card that correlates with that zodiac sign, which for Taurus is the Hierophant, and then I will also pull like a clarifying card to go along with it. So that is what I did a couple of days ago, but I didn't post it on Facebook, so I'm just going to go over it here now in this video, and then I also pulled a card for this reading for this week. So the Hierophant in this book describes it as the mentor seeking knowledge. In its simplest form, the Hierophant represents a mentor or teacher. This card signifies a hunger for knowledge, whether it is in the practical or the spiritual realm. You've come as far as you can go on your own. Now it's the time to deepen your practice. Don't hesitate. Join a class, go to a workshop. Don't be afraid of new experiences. A new ceremony or ritual may prove to be both comforting and rewarding. Open your heart and your teacher will soon appear. And I love this because like in on the card itself, it's got it's got this messenger bird sitting on top of a key, right? So it's like this key message that you need to hear. And I love this because also when we talk about this Pluto sun square that we have going on, you know, like I said, it's like this stubborn energy. Taurus can be really stubborn at times, and it really kind of needs to be cracked open to like be like, oh shit, I need to change, you know? I need to get out of my comfort zone or find a new comfort zone. That, oh shit, I can't do everything all on my own. Sometimes I have to rely on other people and call on others for help and seek other people's wisdom. But in order to materialize your dreams, you know, because that's also Taurus. So it's like, what do you need to do? What are you being stubborn about that is keeping you from materializing your dreams? Are you stuck in fantasy? Are you not nourishing and caring about the right things? Are you being stubborn about asking for help or relying on your community? And then the clarifying card that I pulled with this is the Starborn, which is funny actually now that I think about it. When Aquarius rules the star card. Okay, anyway, the Starborn, the divine child, the star child, the destined. An elusive yet radiant aspect of the self, the starborn archetype points to the cosmic spark of light that arrives with each being at birth. The moment the newborn crowns, whether vaginally or surgically, the royal stars above are said to constellate in a unique shape that maps our path in the world. The idea of destiny is controversial, yet the starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself toward a future that is beyond the mundane. When this card appears, travel back to your birth story for clues and insight. What did you desire when you were young? Practice seeing your life from a mythic point of view rather than as a series of logistics. Read the story of the three fates and envision yourself born under the stars with a unique destiny. When this card appears, don't be surprised if you receive a surge of desire for a long lost dream, one you haven't visited since childhood. Let this desire shake you up. Have your chart read. Study your constellated shape. Ask questions. What does the process conjure in you? Faith or mistrust? What would happen if you saw the galaxy as your ally? I love that. I love that. It is like, you know, what the study of astrology is. And I want to maybe talk, like, point to this a little bit with that, like, destiny versus free will. Because sometimes I think that that also keeps us trapped in our mind a lot. Like, especially if we lean more heavily towards free will, then we think that we have to, like, fucking control everything, you know, that there's no, like, there's nothing carrying us through life. It's all on us, right? And that's a very heavy feeling that leads a lot of people to burnout. Um, Rather, I think that there's a healthy balance of the two. I see it as like you are born with a predetermined set of possible skills. Like when it comes to your genetics and your chart and everything at play, the whole, like, you are literally a configuration of stardust. Like the universe literally came together and did its fucking thing down to the very perfect moment, nanosecond of you being here and existing to be you. That's the predetermined part. But then what you do with that is your choice. And so I almost see it too as like what you do, what you do with it is basically just like a how like here's your higher self or all the highest possible skills that you could have from these predetermined set of things, and here's you now. How close are you going to meet with your highest self? That's your choice. That's all the choice you get. And I think that a lot of times we get tripped up in like we have to compete with others, or we have to compete with the system, or we have to control everything, or like all these things, when like really all that this is just a you looking out for you. And the more you look out for you, the more you naturally help everybody else. So also when this is in the light energy, it feels trusting, vibrant, aimed. When it's in the dark or shadow, it's a feeling of misalignment and a loss of longing. Kind of goes into that purposelessness. So really be using this full moon to dig into that emotion that is struck when I say that word, purposelessness. Like, what does that word mean to you? Because the cool thing too about that gene key is the reminder that like our consciousness is infinite. It is our material body that will someday die. So while we are here in a physical body, there's a reason for that, to bring consciousness down into the physical. There's a reason for that. And that's, if we don't look at the reason for that, that's how we're going to end up regretting our life on our deathbed. But not from a place of there will be eternal darkness, from a place of that consciousness is going to incarnate into different form or different matter. Like that's the truth of infinity. So it's like, don't put too much pressure on your consciousness because that's infinite. That goes on forever. Put the pressure on figuring out how you can materialize your consciousness in the material physical world, in your physical body, because that is what is finite. And you can only do that through being in the present moment, being in your body, connecting in with your desires and your inner child, that person that you were before these systems and structures mess you all up. Okay, sorry, last card. Conscia, she who whispers. Secrets, confessions, confidant. Conscia, she who whispers, knows how to keep a secret. You won't pry anything from her lips. She is the quintessential vault who holds all the lies and all the truths of the world. Her smoky quartz headdress helps remove negative energy. In fact, it is said to transform it into positive energy. It is her role to hear all the confidences of all who come to her. Conscia, Latin for confidant, never judges. She simply listens. This card is like exactly my life's work gene key. Gene key 13. This card reveals that all of us have secrets. It may be time to release yours now if they have become a burden. If you are concerned about being judged, look into your own heart first for compassion. Sometimes we convince ourselves that our secrets are unique, deep, and dark. When we expose them to the light, we may discover others with the same fears. If someone has entrusted you with their secrets, honor their confidence. What are my secrets? What would happen if I shared my secrets with others? Who can I trust with what I value most? Freaking perfect. As someone whose gene key is literally 13 of this, like this type of energy, I will say that like a lot of my life story is overcoming shame and judgment, right? And a lot of my life has been holding on to a series of other people's secrets. Like I'm the type of person where I just go to the store and someone tells me their whole life story. Like a stranger at the store just tells me their whole life story. Everybody who knows me knows this about me. It's kind of funny. And I hold on to other people's secrets because I take that seriously, and I will tell you why. There is an energetic weight to anything that you feel like you're all alone about. And so even if it's not like, you just like we all have a series of masks. And honestly, my work, or this work of like healing your identity, is the work of like taking off one mask at a time, right? And like until you reveal like your final form, right? But our masks keep us safe and they serve a purpose. And so realize that everyone in the world is doing that. But that weight behind the mask of this thing that you keep all to yourself, that you deeply need healing through connection on, opening up about that thing to at least one person in the world that you trust is so important. And also, again, like I really like that part about judging. If you are concerned about being judged, look into your own heart first for compassion. Because that's the thing with those secrets or those shadows or those things that we repress or try to hide or that we don't like about ourselves, that we shame ourselves about. They're so fucking common. Like that's what I noticed. The more that I open up about like the things I'm struggling with, or the more I just see myself as human, having a human experience and fucking up and open up about that with other people, the more I realize how common it is to feel the exact same way. And how much weight we could all take off of our shoulders, and how much like our judgments would be healed actually, you know? Because another thing is like we honestly fear other people judging us because we're judging ourselves. We're fearing other people judging us because we're judging others, right? So once you figure out how to love yourself and be compassionate with yourself for all of your faults and flaws and shadows and spooky, creepy crawlies, the more that you can give that same love and compassion energy to others. And I can tell you firsthand that the more I've been able to hear other people's secrets from that place, the more like healing I've been able to do for other people as well. Okay, that's it, guys. I was trying to think if I had any announcements, but no, just look out for new moon workshop coming up at Wild Root Yoga. Check out stuff about Awaken the Witch and book a reading with me. You know, guys, like I really want to move away from doing like pre-recorded specific like astrology readings and really move into doing like Zoom or in-person sessions, and also working on my coaching package, which I don't like it's not a coaching package, like it is a package of moving you through this whole thing that I talk about, that I've talked about a lot today, honestly, of just like figuring out who you are and embodying that person and living as that person every day. You know, like that's what I help people to do and find the right direction in life that suits who they individually are. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. Also, make sure that if you found this information to be valuable, leave me feedback in a comment, like, share, subscribe, all the things. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you guys all have an awesome week ahead. Thank you.